We continue to roll. 2023, the installment of Cubs Convention keeps clicking away right here from the Sheraton Grand Hotel. And look at that, number 23, the pride of Ryne Sandberg. That's his grandson right there, hitting absolute sizzlers all over the yard under the watchful eye of Granddad right there. Rhino, he's a Hall of Famer, and so is our Elise Maneker, a 4-year starter at Cornell University. And one thing she could do is put it in play. The instruction as good as it gets. But we know one thing hitters don't like: quality pitchers. So now it's time for the distinguished gentleman, Jim DeShays, JD, to lead the panel. They're talking pitching, of course. JD, go, man.
Thank you very much, Cole. Right here to talk a little pitching with you. It kind of looks like we have BTS up here, doesn't it? Or NSYNC or some boy band. And maybe these guys will do a number for you when we're done. But we're going to talk pitching. One of my favorite things to do is talk to pitchers. Generally, if you follow the game, you know a couple things about pitchers. They're typically the best-looking guys on the team. They're the smartest guys on the team. They're the funniest guys on the team. They're the best golfers on the team. And we have a wide assortment of them here. Let me introduce, starting at the far end, Drew Smyly, veteran left-hander, back. Good to have Drew Smyly back in a Cubs uniform. Next to him, Adrian Sampson. Keegan Thompson. Good to have Kyle Hendricks back. Newcomer Jameson Taillon. We call him J-Mo. He's from the Woodlands, Texas, where all the children are above average. And next to him, Hayden Wesneski, who did such a nice job coming up towards the end of last year. So here's the format. We have a lot of bodies up here, a lot of guys who know a lot more about pitching in the modern game than I do. So I'm going to turn them loose. We'll have a good freewheeling conversation. And at some point along the way, we'll turn it over to questions from the audience. First, top of mind for me anyway, and I imagine for many of you, Mr. Hendricks. How you feeling, brother?
Yeah, feeling amazing. Thank you. Thank you for asking, JD. I started my throwing program about 6 weeks ago, December 1. So yeah, it's slow and steady. You know, I got to trust the process, but I feel amazing, feel healthy. I'm getting after it out in Arizona with a couple of these guys who are out there. So yeah, it's just good to be back doing what I love to do, and I can't wait to be there this season. Yeah.
Right, wonderful. That's great news. J-Mo, as a free agent, you had options to go elsewhere, no doubt. After, 4 years in Pittsburgh, 2 years with the Yankees, you choose the Cubs and Wrigley Field. Give us some insight as to why. And I know you just got done doing Ian's bit with the compound. Yeah. We appreciate the heavy lifting you're doing here this weekend.
Yeah, you know, one of the big things for me was whenever I sat down with the Cubs, they kind of outlined a few different ways they thought they could help me improve and get better, and that kind of lined up with my thinking. Some pitch usage stuff, a few mechanical tweaks that they thought they could identify. You know, I feel like sometimes in the majors it's easy for people just kind of assume you are who you are. You know, you've been in the league for 6 years, you're just going to be who you are, and I don't really agree with that. So when the Cubs kind of presented a plan for me, that really turned me on to this organization.
Drew, how about you deciding to come back with the Cubs? What kind of drove that decision?
I mean, well, it was no secret I wanted to come back. I loved it here. Last season, I honestly felt so at home and comfortable. The coaching staff, the organization, all the way up to the front office, to the training staff. It was just such an exciting place to show up to the field every day. Great group of guys in the locker room, and you know, I honestly just had a lot of fun showing up every day, being here around these guys. So when going into free agency, like, I made it very clear I wanted to come back. I loved it here. I trusted the pitching infrastructure that the organization has, the coaching staff, working with Tommy. Like, I just felt like it was the best place for me to continue to grow and get better.
Adrian, to you, sure. So we talk about development in pitching in baseball not being linear. You've had a bit of a bumpy ride to get and establish yourself as a big leaguer. I don't know if folks know this. 2 seasons you've been a Cub, you've posted a 3.03 ERA. And early on, you know, people might argue, well, small sample, right? Well, that sample's continuing to grow. I think you've got like 130 or so innings under your belt as a Cub now. So just give us a snapshot as to maybe where you were career-wise, you know, 3 years ago and where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, 3 years ago I was playing in Korea, and everything I had to do was on my own. I had to prepare everything. I wasn't in the stage of my life to, like, kind of take it all and know what I was doing when I was pitching. So Cubs next year, I didn't go back to Korea. I came to the Cubs and right away, basically just started over. Like every pitch I had, I re-gripped it and found out how it moves, how to make it better, and then I just kind of moved it along to the next pitch and the next pitch. So basically, I'm a totally different guy than I was a few years ago, and it's they've kind of reinvent myself here, and then understanding all the new gadgets and gizmos they have for us, and then taking all that data and then kind of turn it into some success here. So it's been great.
Keegan, had a very nice year last year, working both as a starter and the bullpen. The numbers out of the bullpen, a good bit better than as a starter. So where's your head at coming into this season as to what you would prefer to do, and you know, what's your take on that? I mean, is that just kind of, it just happened? I mean, are you confident if you were as a starter, you would be able to pitch kind of like you did as a reliever?
I think so, yeah. I think I'll kind of have the same role as I did last year, be the long relief guy, the kind of spot start role if I need to do that. But yeah, coming out of the bullpen is just something different. The adrenaline coming in.
You took to it. I mean, you really did, man.
Bit.
You had that look in your eye when you came out of the pen.
I know. It's something special about coming in with guys on base and getting out of the jam and like not getting up those inherited runs. And it's just something special and different about starting or about coming out of the bullpen than starting. But I'm here to do whatever I need to do.
Hayden, I'll ask you similarly, over from the Yankees in the trade. Didn't have a ton of time with the big club, but you had success. You looked very comfortable out there. Just talk a little bit about your experience with the Cubs last year.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's not much different than it was with the Yankees. And coming up and being traded, it's really hard to get comfortable in a new environment. They do a really good job of telling you what you need to do with your game plan and stuff like that. But when I come to the big leagues finally, when I came to the big leagues, it's really easy because, I mean, you kind of just lean on Jan. Jan's a really good catcher, and you kind of just, it's his game. You just throw it. The hardest part was kind of navigating the locker room and stuff like that. You kind of just figure out. I mean, really.
Hey, don't get in Hendricks' way because he'll stomp all over you.
I'm the tough one. I know I'm the tough one on you guys.
He'll big league you. Yeah, be careful. So here's my follow-up to you. We had a lot of shots on the telecast when you were pitching in the dugout between innings, like pacing. Like, has that always been the case, or was that I'm fresh in the big leagues and there's a little extra adrenaline, or is that just who you are?
That's kind of who I am. The big leagues adrenaline doesn't help either, but you kind of have to keep yourself distracted and know that, hey, next inning I have this, and you try to treat it as each pitch, each inning, each batter. But sometimes you forget that there's cameras on you all the time, and so you kind of just you are who you are. Yeah, exactly.
TV people are just brutal. Yeah. So rule changes. Pitch clock is coming. How much have you guys thought about that? And do you do anything in the off season? I mean, are you in your bullpens? Are you going quicker between pitches to prepare for it? Do you think about it? And I'll just throw it out there, and then, take it. And anybody who wants to chime in, please.
Honestly, looking up here, though, I don't think any of these guys have an issue. We're all pretty quick workers. I know myself. I've always not had an issue with that. It will be something, I think, in spring training. Once we get in spring and we're in games and we do see the clock, we will have to adjust and just see how the timing works with it. But no, I'm super excited to just keep the game moving. It keeps the players, keeps the defenders on their toes behind you. It's great for the fans, great for the game. So I think I'm excited about that one in general, not worried.
Have any of you guys gone back and looked at video from your games just to time yourself between pitches to see where you're at?
There's a website called Baseball Savant, and on there they actually have your time between pitches and stuff. So whenever they said the pitch clock was coming, I went on there and checked where I stood, and I'm like in a pretty good spot, but I was just making sure that I was going to be okay, and I didn't need to change anything. But, there's a number for everything nowadays, so you can just go see how fast you work.
It'd be kind of cool, right, if you had, you could call a 20-second timeout. Like, if the clock is ticking down, if you had, a couple of times in the course of a game where you could just stop the clock and regroup. So what else? No shift, right? Good, generally, maybe a little bit of an issue for pitchers. Balls in play will probably turn into hits more frequently than in the past.
I think it'll be good for the game. I think it'll definitely encourage or have more offense going on. You'll have more base hits in the 4-hole, 6-hole, up the middle mainly. So I think it's going to be exciting and just kind of keep the game moving more along.
And while we talk, if you have questions, we have microphones here and over here somewhere. If you guys have questions you want to start queuing up, we'll get to some fan questions here momentarily. Jed Hoyer's had a busy winter, aside from the acquisitions before us. Dansby Swanson comes to play short. Nico moves over to second. You got Bellinger out in center field. Looks like a club that's really going to be able to catch it. It's got to be fun. Looking forward to pitching. Drew, I'll let you handle this one with that defense behind you.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a good defense behind you, it makes pitching a whole lot easier to just throw it over the plate and trust the guys to go run it down. Having Nico and Dansby, I played with Dansby in Atlanta. He's an amazing defender, awesome teammate. So having him and Nico, two shortstops, play up the middle, is going to be huge for the Cubs to just run these balls down. And then having Bellinger in center, you know, he's an MVP, great defender. So I think all around the field, you know, we got Ian Happ, just won gold, Suzuki. Like, you just go around the list, and it's like we're going to be a really, really well defended ball club.
Yeah, Hosmer can pick it, too, when he's out there at first base, right?
Yeah.
Hosmer's good. Dansby, top 5 in the game in hair? Top 5 hair?
I was actually going to ask him about his hair, to be honest with you. I'll get to it eventually, but
yeah.
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. When I got home last night, my daughter asked me, so who's the best-looking Cub? And I said, I don't know, but Dansby's got the hair game. I mean, he might be. Let's, with that segue, let's go to questions. Let's go over here, please.
Hi, my name's Will. I have a question for anyone who wants to answer it. During the early games of a series, when you're talking about to other pitchers in the mound about how you'll attack hitters, can you tell us what those conversations are like? Are you focusing on like parts of the zone that you'll attack? Do you pair yourself with pitchers who have similar stuff about how I'll go east-west, you go east-west, or do you talk to the pitcher who's starting that day at all, or you wait till afterwards? Just what's that conversation like?
Yeah, I think everybody has their own way of going about it. For me, yeah, I like to watch guys that are similar and how they approach a certain lineup that I'm going to be facing. I also like I like to watch a lot of in-game, just being in the dugout and seeing whoever's pitching that day, the reaction you're getting from hitters. But when you're sitting down going over a scouting report or a game plan, for me, you kind of start with like, okay, how do you attack 0-0? How are you going to open the at-bat? Are they aggressive? Are they patient? How can you take advantage of that? Where do you go from there? Where's the best secondary pitch? Like, do they hit spin, or do they maybe hit changeups well? Which way do I go with that? And then how do you finish a guy off? Whether you need a strikeout. If you need a strikeout in a certain situation, what would you go to? If you need to get a ground ball to get a double play, what would you go to in that situation? So just working through different baseball situations and kind of preparing for anything that could come your way.
Thank you. Over here, please.
All right, so this one's kind of for all of you guys or whoever wants to answer, but right now you kind of just discussed a little bit with the pitch clock, but MLB has been making a lot of rule changes and they're looking to make more in the future. What do you think about those rule changes? Do you think the game should stay the way it is, or do you think they should keep making those changes? And then also, what do you guys think about the concept of robo-umps?
Oh, good question. Adrian, you want to take robo-umps? Can I throw Adrian? Can I throw robo-umps at you? Are you pro robotic umpire? You know the automated strike zone.
Robo-umps.
That guy's asking some tough questions.
I'm not a fan of the robo-umpires. I'm not a fan of the rule changes. I like the game how it started, but I mean, if you don't, you got like it just got kind of out of whack. People playing all over the place, so. I think it will help the game a little bit. I think the pace of play for sure will help with the pitch clock. But I think Rossi and Tommy are for sure concerned about me. They told me every time I pitched last year that I got to speed up things. So I'm going to work on that in spring. I'm working on it now. So we'll just see how it goes.
Drew, did you have something you were going to add there? I thought maybe you balked. I thought you were going and then you...
Say what?
I thought you balked.
No, not really. I mean, robot umpires, I don't know if that would be a good thing. I think it's part of baseball, you know? Like, umpires have a really hard job. And it's not easy sitting back there and calling a ball an inch off the plate and having a hitter yell at them if it's, you know, whether they think it's ball or strike. I thought what's really neat is I heard in the Arizona Fall League or maybe even the minor leagues, you could challenge it, kind of like you do in tennis, you know, whether it hits the line or not. and you get like 1 or 2 as a team, you get a couple challenges a game. I think that would be a pretty fun thing to introduce into the game, but not to have an automated strike zone though.
How about any of you guys talking about umpires and the human element? Any good interactions with a home plate umpire, good, bad, or otherwise? You know, because you see a lot, if you pay attention, you watch the games, there are a lot of times after an inning, a pitcher will be starting to make his way off the field, and umpire will come over, and you guys will have a little conversation. Usually, generally, you know, calm and cool, or does it ever get heated?
Have any of you been thrown out of a game? I mean,
You're not officially a big leaguer until you've been thrown out, though. That's what I hear. So we got some work to do, I guess.
I want to
That's
see the
gonna
day
happen
Kyle
for
Hendricks.
me.
Yeah, please just run me. I know, just run me.
But no, for me, every interaction has been super calm. Honestly, it was fun when we used to hit, like going up to the plate, home plate. That was fun, those interactions. Sometimes you maybe ask a question when you're coming off the mound, like where you had something, but no, for the most part, you keep it pretty simple and chill. Like Drew said, they do have such a hard job back there, and we're so focused on what we're doing that it's just kind of part of the game.
J-Mo, you ever get heated with a home plate umpire?
Never really heated, but to what Kyle said, when I used to have to hit, I wasn't very good, but I went up to bat and Joe West was the umpire. And I forget who I was catching, and I told the catcher, I was like, hey, take it easy on me. You know, I'm not very good at this. And I fouled off like a fastball right down the middle, and Joe West started laughing, and he goes, I guess that's why you're hitting like 100 or whatever. Usually it's pretty good.
Keegan, you ever have any umpire run-ins?
Nothing crazy. Just got thrown out once last year. No argument, but
That's right, you did, yeah.
But no, I haven't really had too many interactions with umpires.
Yeah, I like the way the fans vibe here. I got thrown out last year, and there's a big round of applause. So. Okay, so let's do a little poll here. Going forward, we'll ask you guys to vote on which of you is most likely to be the next man ejected.
I don't know.
Okay, well, I'll start.
Oh, Sampson.
I'll throw Sam's out.
I'll go Sampson under the bus.
yeah, Sampson.
I would say myself too. Sometimes I let my emotions get the best of me. I mean, I try not to let the umpire hear it though. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask for like a show of hands. They can individually vote, but apparently it's unanimous. Yeah.
It's gonna be for a good reason.
Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah. Where I'm back over here now. Thank you for your question.
Hi.
You're good.
Yep. First off, I just want to say thank you to Kyle Hendricks. You've done amazing things for the Cubs, but especially those playoffs in 2016. You were dominant that NLCS game against Kershaw and the Dodgers. That was amazing. Last game in the World Series, it was very impressive. So you said you started your throwing program 6 weeks ago. That sounds good. So when's the plan for you to start pitching in the majors with the Cubs? April, May, June? What are we thinking here?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty early, you know. So obviously I'm itching to get going, and I would want to be throwing every single day, but I really got to trust the doctor and the staff I have, and they're amazing. They've dealt with so many of these before, and obviously this being my first one, so I put a lot of trust into them. But the throwing program's going great, and I should be there real early. We're not going to put a day on it. But yeah, I would love to be there opening day, May, obviously in that range. I should be getting off the mound here pretty soon. And that's really the next step to see how I feel. But so far, no hiccups at all, right on track. So yeah, I can't wait, especially with this group we got this year, man. I got to be out there. You know, I got to take full advantage of this, so I can't wait for all the wins.
So here we are, basically a month away from pitchers and catchers reporting. Where are you guys in terms of your off-season program collectively? How are you full-on bullpens, hitting sessions, or just? I'm assuming because of the programs you get, everybody's kind of in the same place.
Yeah, I mean, me and Sampson both live in Arizona, and we've been throwing bullpens at the complex this last week or two. So you just kind of ease into it. Nothing too crazy. I was throwing my bullpen the other day, and I was throwing like 80 miles an hour, feeling pretty good. And then this young minor league guy came in behind me and started throwing like 96 south the mound. And I was like, whew,
yeah,
got a long way to go to reach that. But yeah, I mean, I think nowadays more guys are just continuing to throw. They continue to just play catch, work off the mound, keep their arm moving. And I remember when I was young coming up, we took a lot of time off from throwing. Once season ends, it's like I didn't pick up a ball till January. And now it's kind of the exact opposite. You just keep going and training, and everyone has a little different routine, but you just try to find it and see what works for you.
Keegan, where are you at?
I'm going to start throwing bullpens in the next couple of weeks or so. I've been here the whole offseason working out up at the field in Wrigley, throwing in the cage. Been throwing, the net's been my best friend this year. So, but yeah,
Was it Justin I saw playing catch at Wrigley when it was like 9 below 0 recently? Didn't I see something on Twitter? Somebody was out there.
That was me.
Oh, that was you.
That was me. That was me. Yeah. Just a couple throws, just see how it felt.
Yeah. How you doing? You good? Ready to roll?
I threw my first bullpen Thursday. Like Drew said, it was 80, 85, but you know, I felt really good at that speed.
It's great when there's no hitter in there, right?
Oh.
You just feel like I can get everybody out.
To be honest with you, I had 2 guys sit in, and I told them, I go, y'all need to scoot back. I don't know where this is going. Like, the first 10 pitches were pretty tough, but after that, you kind of get into a groove. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm glad to get back on the mound.
J-Mo, you're back in Texas working out.
I've been all over the place this offseason, but I've been in Arizona the last couple of weeks, and I'm throwing my first bullpen on Monday. So I'm usually like 6 to 8 bullpens before I get to spring training, and that'll put me where I need to be.
Great. Back over here.
My name is Susie. I'm looking forward to watching all of you pitch. Kyle, it'll be so great to have you back. Keep working on the recovery. We really missed you last year. I wanted to ask Hayden, the inning you came in and you threw the 9 pitches for strikes. What was that like? Like, as a Cub fan, I've been forever, and I've never seen that.
You asked about the immaculate inning? Oh, to be honest with you, the first batter it's cool, right? You understand it. And then the longer the inning goes on, you kind of start to figure out that you realize, hey, this could happen. And so the most nerve-wracking pitches are the 6th, 7th, 8th pitches. And then once you get to the 9th one, it's kind of one of those things where, well, this is either happening or it's not, and you just kind of rip it and see what happens.
Like an unbelievable thing, because when you walked off the mound, you went in, man, you were so pumped. I mean, you're just pacing in the clubhouse, you know, and you're just like, you had all this energy, you just had to get out, and it was like, wow, this kid's unreal.
Okay, back to the whole camera things. You're forgetting you're on camera. Like, I don't know. I really wish I would have been so goofy. I've tried to hide it sometimes, but I'm not very good at doing that.
No, you got to be you. You got to do you, man. Yeah, be goofy. It's wonderful. It works. Yes, sir.
Hey, guys. So I'm curious about the last 3 seasons and the inconsistencies that you have had with your off seasons, the shutdowns. Some of you guys didn't have a season in 2020. So I'm wondering, what have you done the last 3 years to keep you guys in game shape?
It's a good question. I think a lot of guys have learned how to kind of take their individual programs, you know, like you said, 20 really hit, and so guys had to really do everything on their own. That really started. It had happened before that. Guys really had their own trainers or had their own programs that they would follow, but you really had to trust what you were doing and the work you were putting in to be ready for whenever the time came to play. So that just kind of carried over, I think, through the next couple years. And yeah, it didn't really matter the inconsistencies, whether the CBA or whatever it may be. We just knew what our program was and how to get ourselves ready, and whenever the time came, we'd be ready to go.
I've got a question for each of you. We'll start with Drew and just come on down the line. If you could take one pitch from one of your teammates and incorporate it into your arsenal, what would it be?
Whoever has the best changeup, I'll take that one.
I'll take his slider.
Yeah.
I'll take the Hayden.
I didn't want to really give him the credit yet, but I would
It's pretty nasty.
go with the slider. It's a pretty good pitch.
I want Kyle's changeup.
Yeah. Keegan?
I'll say Kyle's changeup. I need a good changeup.
He's not up here, but I'd probably take Stroman's sinker, honestly.
Jeremiah's Estrada's fastball.
Estrada's fastball.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. Good. Whose turn is it? Over here.
Well, JD kind of stole my thunder because I wanted to ask about pitches with you guys. So kind of go down the line here. What's the pitch you guys are playing with in the bullpen, or what's the pitch you guys are working on like the most? I'd like to kind of get your feel on that.
tinkering. Are we tinkering in this offseason, trying to develop a new pitch or playing around? I know you have the lab and all the high-tech equipment that you use now. I feel like this question is asked of pitchers every spring training, like what are you doing differently? And for the most part, there's not a whole lot different going on. But is anybody breaking out a new wrinkle this year?
I throw a knuckleball like and catch, so maybe if it continues to get better, you never know.
We'll keep an eye out for that. Anybody else? Anything?
No, I think we're kind of at this level. You kind of you are who you are. I mean, you kind of refine what you do, right? And so to kind of change who we are is kind of a detriment to us. And so, I mean, Kyle's going to throw his changeup and his fastball, and he kind of knows that. And so I don't know if we kind of add pitches at this point. We kind of just I'm trying to update my changeup, make it a little bit better, make it more playable.
J-Mo, now you're new to the organization, and you've had some conversations with Tommy Hotovy. So you might be maybe one guy here that might be looking to tweak, whether it's pitch usage or grip or anything.
Yeah, the common answer I feel like, especially from starters every year, is like I'm working on a new changeup grip or whatever, and I've been guilty of that in years past, and I feel like now I'm kind of maybe just forgetting about that pitch a little bit and trying to make everything else better. So last year I used to throw a slider differently to lefties than I would to righties, and then I ended up just calling it a cutter, and I was just kind of learning that pitch on the fly last season. So it's something I've talked to Tommy about a little bit, is just improving my cutter and making that a pitch I actually take out there consistently. So just all off season I've been playing catch with it and working on that.
And maybe we can get this out of the way right now before spring training. Will everybody be in the best shape of their life in spring training? Is that an assumption we can make?
We all are, every year.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the year the guy comes in. I'm in the worst shape of my life. I feel great. Yes, sir.
My question's for all you guys, but first off, Kyle, I don't know if you heard, but Ian Happ said earlier that you shoot boring golf. But honestly, I think
that's good golf right there.
The thing is, a 78 is about as impressive as a complete game shutout against the St. Louis Cardinals throwing under 100 pitches. So.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
But my question for all y'all is, who so far in y'all's careers has been your toughest hitter to face?
Toughest out. Anybody? Anybody stand out? I will start with you, Drew, and we'll work our way down the line.
I haven't faced him in a couple years, but Jose Abreu is always really hard for me to face. He kind of has my number. And Josh Donaldson. I hate facing Josh Donaldson. So probably one of those two guys.
Adrian, anybody?
I'd say like Mookie Betts. He's a good low ball hitter. Can kind of hit everything. Hits hanging off speed. Like he just crushes me. So I'll just try not to face him. Wherever, just pitch around him.
Keegan.
So.
I think Goldschmidt is one of the best ones, especially last year. It seemed like he was on every single pitch from every one of our pitchers. So he's definitely.
So you're saying he was cheating, is what you're saying?
I'm not saying that, but
okay.
It was incredible last year what he did.
Kyle?
Mine's pretty easy for me. Joey Votto, man. He's been a thorn in my side. I think he's hitting over 500. I've thrown him everything. So maybe I do need a slider, something new. I do need a new pitch, I think, just for him specifically.
Yeah. Well, maybe, just maybe, this is just me spitballing here. Maybe you just drill him. And then you get ejected.
Too.
Yeah, and you get to take that out of the way. Yeah. Yeah. J-Mo, anybody?
The last couple of years, I feel like Rafael Devers on the Red Sox has been pretty tough for me.
Hayden?
I haven't faced a whole lot of big league hitters, but I would say probably Evan Longoria has my number.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, Nick Maton, coming up, he's like 8 for 10 with some bombs off me. It's not very fun.
It's weird, right? There's always that guy that maybe isn't a great hitter, but for whatever reason he has. You're not. Votto obviously is a great hitter, but it seems like there's always that guy that for whatever reason it's a bad fit.
Billy Hamilton for me for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. On the other hand, is there anybody who, when they're walking into the box, and I know guys are going to be hesitant to say this to provide any bulletin board material, but like you're just licking your chops, like this guy he's easy.
You don't want to admit that because you don't want to jinx yourself. You don't want to jinx it. I'll say some of the young guys maybe.
Yeah.
If you get a young guy up there, you can maybe take advantage of like their aggressiveness or from things that they haven't learned quite yet. But some established guys, man, they just get to know you. It's always a tough at bat. But maybe a young guy here and there.
Yeah, it's tough, right? The longer in the league, the greater the book the opposing hitters have on you, they kind of know your stuff, know how you approach them. So that becomes a challenge the longer you're in the game, is just how to kind of combat that. Yes, sir.
I have a question for Kyle. I wanted to thank you, first of all, for 2016. It helped to heal the pain from 1984 a little bit. And I guess I'm just wondering how it feels to be the last player left from that team.
Yeah, it's
The
pretty
sole
wild.
survivor.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't feel old. I don't know. Lone survivor. It is very weird, though. Yeah, I appreciate you asking. It shows you just how quick time flies and really how quick the turnover is in the game right now. You know, it really hasn't been that long. So, but also, I'm just so excited to have all these new faces and to go attack that goal with a fresh group, you know, and fresh eyes almost in a way. It gets you that new energy and that new fire, and I feel it. You know, I feel it from these other guys. So it's going to be an awesome year, and I can feel the excitement already for spring, and can't wait for the success we're going to have this year. Absolutely.
J-Mo, you were in the Central, went to the American League, now return, but you obviously know the clubs. I'll ask you first, and anybody else that wants to chime in. Just give us a snapshot of the NL Central. You know, how competitive do you think it'll be? Where do you think the Cubs, as we sit here today, if you're just projecting, where you know, obviously the Cardinals and the Brewers, but the Brewers, they haven't done a whole lot this winter. What's your take?
Yeah, so when I was coming up, the NL Central was known for just being like pitching, defense, a lot of sinkers, ground balls, very hard-nosed. Guys would pitch inside. And I feel like now within the game, like with, you know, all the analytics and those departments, like I feel like teams' brands of baseball have kind of blended together and everyone's trying to accomplish kind of the same things. But I do still think, you know, like the NL Central, for example, different front offices value different things and team identities sometimes stay the same. So, you know, in interleague play, played the NL Central last year. There's some good teams. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You know, there's a few young up-and-coming teams. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Milwaukee's tough. St. Louis, obviously, we know about them. But yeah, there's familiarity for me. I'm excited to be back. You know, hopefully it's pitching and defense still. That'd be good for me.
Over here.
Well, first of all, Jameson, while you're working on mechanics and pitches, keep in mind that the Cub fans have a very high bar set for bullpen dance moves, and we will be expecting you to bring your game for that as well. The question I had, we're bombarded by pitching stats. I mean, it used to be there were only like 5 pitching stats. Now there's like 25. And I'm wondering, as pitchers, what stat do you hear get thrown around a lot or discussed, let's say, you know, in media that really you think are kind of meaningless, is a meaningless stat, or one that is overemphasized?
Okay, so we're digging in on pitcher statistics. Interesting, right? Because with the evolution of the game, in my generation, you kind of knew your one-loss record, you knew your ERA. Do you guys know your ERA plus at the end of the year? Do you know your wins above replacement and your ground ball rate? I mean, any of you keyed in on that?
I'm still kind of old school, kind of like in your way. So I've come along a little bit and I've learned, but no, I still look at the major stats, I guess, at the end of the year. But throughout the year, you more look at like your pitch metrics. Each pitch, you know, the certain design of it, how the action and how it's moving. And that really helps you kind of stay consistent with your stuff. So outside of that, stats-wise, I don't look at too much.
My philosophy was if I happen to have a year where I got some wins was a really important stat. And if I had a year where I had a bad record, wins don't matter. That's kind of the way I rolled. How about you, Hayden? You're a very young guy. Are you plugged in on, what was your ERA plus this year?
No, I don't really. I try to stay away from the ERA. It's kind of a trap. It's one of those things where if you try to bring something that you can't control down, it's not going to work out very well for you. I think the walk percentage is a huge thing, right? It gives you a chance to get outs, especially with Dan's being all these guys that are Gold Glove type players. And so I think walks are probably the biggest thing that I look at in particular.
How do you not fall in love with the radar gun, Keegan? I mean, I would be, in this day and age where every pitch, the velocity is posted, is it?
It's hard because, like you said, it feels like everybody now throws 95 miles an hour or harder, which just wasn't the case back in the day. you kind of get a little bit of an ego boost sometimes when you're throwing hard, but you can't really pay attention to that. You're just going after hitters and getting guys out.
Kyle?
Yeah, I really pay attention to
Gotta
that
get
radar gun, you know?
So, Drew, you throw this funky breaking ball that looks like a changeup. Is that something that you've always had, something that you've developed over time?
Yeah, no, that's just been my pitch since I was a kid. Just until recently, I'd started realizing that it's a funky curveball. I just always thought it was a nice little curveball.
Yeah.
But then with all the new technology, they're like, your curveball doesn't curve. It goes the other way. And like with the spin rate's different, or like the spin axis, and like all those type of things that you hear about a lot these days. I kind of discard some of that. I don't think, like, you hear spin rate a lot on your fastball and I'm just like, or on your curveball, you want to have as much spin as you can. And I just feel like, everyone's different. Everyone might spin it a little different. If the pitch is moving and you're commanding the pitch, like, what does it matter what your spin rate is? I kind of disagree that, like, to have a good fastball, you have to spin it at like 3,000 RPMs. Like, I don't even know what that means,
Right.
Like, I'd rather just locate it and hit my spot, and I think that'll be good enough.
How about you, Adrian? Are you kind of plugged into all the spin rates and things like that?
I think it's a good tool, but I just want the ball, and if I throw as many innings, then things take care of themselves. So just if I can go 6, 7, 8 innings every game, that's my goal. So.
Yes, sir.
Hey guys. Do any of you on days that you're pitching have any crazy superstitions that you have to do?
Anybody? Like special pregame meal or something you do?
No, I don't. I'm not superstitious. Just a little stitious. But yeah, I don't. I try to keep it loose. I just want to talk. Like some guys, headphones on, don't talk to me, that type of thing. That's not me at all. I just want to walk around the locker room and say hi to people. And I try to show up really late on my start day because I don't like just waiting around, Like I want to get there, start getting warm, get my routine going, and then go pitch. I hate just like, I like the day games at Wrigley because you kind of wake up and you get to go play. The night games, there's a lot of lingering going on, so.
Anybody else, just real quick, any funky superstitions or routines or anything? Just get the ball and go. Yeah, you're all.
Not necessarily. We have routines. I mean, I wish we had something better for you, but to be honest with you, you listen to the same music, you do the same things, right? So nothing really funky. You kind of just get ready to go play,
Yeah, good. Well, we're going to have to end it there. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your questions. Sorry for those of you who I did not get to. BTS, everybody. There they are. And let's throw it back to Paul Wright.
Thank you, JD. Good stuff from front to back. I love it when boy bands can talk about getting after it out there on the hill. How about Rhino chatting with the youngsters about getting after right there? Kerry Wood putting pen to the ball cap and making a youngster smile, no doubt about it, just like Adbert Alzolay. He looks to get 1% better each and every single day. And all three of the aforementioned, all about giving back. And speaking of, here now, Elise with Alicia Gonzalez of Cubs Charities.
Alicia, it's always good to see you and to be talking about Cubs Charities. So actually, Laura Ricketts was talking about Cubs Charities on the panel as well this morning. So tell us more about it and how it impacts Chicago youth.
So actually our Cubs convention, the proceeds go back to Cubs Charities, and our main focus is on providing sport for youth development and academic programs to youth across our